Minnesota, you can be forced to start slow depending on what the other team's going to throw at you. And you got Atlanta FaZe on the other side. We watched them play this map versus Carolina in the minor, and they beat them 250 to 124. That means they dominated all the rotations, all the little things about the mini-map, pinching the spawns, flipping them out when they need to. They were micromanaging that very, very well. And I expect that from players who played Black Ops 4 back in the day. So Atlanta FaZe are going to be well polished on Hacienda, even though they only have one rep on it. On the opposite side, though, I think the Des touched on it perfectly about Minnesota. They're just a really scrappy team, and the reason why they found themselves going to a lot of Game 5 is due to their teamwork. They're going to need their teamwork here if they want to try to take down Atlanta FaZe.
See what happens. Like you mentioned, Atlanta FaZe has showed us this map. They showed it in the grand finals of Minor 1 versus Carolina, and it was not close. So can they follow up on that and take it into a 2-0 start? At the moment, Minnesota off to the races. First eliminations go their way. They're in the hard point for time, and they're focused on this rock side hallway to see if they can move spawns around eventually to get to P2. But Drasa shuts down 2 in the way.
Oh, and that's now going to lead to an easy break coming in from Atlanta because those pin spawns are already going to be there. Atlanta spawning over towards fences should at least alleviate the pressure around this mid-map hard point. But with only 20 seconds left, if you are Minnesota Rocker, you love your start off. You find 15 seconds, you have players in a position trying to flip these spawns out, and you're also not allowing Atlanta FaZe to get any time off of this P1. You just need to make this push count. Ezreal starts with the first.
Yeah, they have to be very cautious about how they play this opening time here at P2. Spawns have not fully opened yet for the second hard point, so you're trying to finish, you're trying to stay alive, you're trying to hopefully get something towards driveway. Not going to happen. Celium shutting down everything from the front, and now he's on one of the most powerful headies in the game, pending, of course, that this Lambo doesn't blow up in his face.
Okay, the good thing for them, though, if you are Minnesota, is there's no trophy systems that are blocking your way in. So if you want to commit yourself to a front push, it could potentially work on out, but wrapping your way over towards lobby leads to 3 dead. First push instantly gets shut down. You do have Paulex, though, who's potentially going to work his way behind enemy lines. A team kill does come in. Paulex gets taken care of, and this should now lead to a full 60 from Atlanta FaZe.
Yeah, feeling like it. If you're Minnesota, I mean, yeah, Gio's going to fall in front of Rock, so if you were to try to break this open, you'd have to do through Spiral, and that's just not where you want to fall, not with P3 about to open up. So, yeah, it looks like Minnesota's just going to try to take this one on the chin. A full 60 for Atlanta, and now it's just down to, can you just punish these exits, find a couple of rotational wins, and get some comfortable early time. Simp working on it after the slow start. He's on 3 in a row. You saw his stat line as we were loading into the map. He's been great in the last 2 weeks.
Now the new hill pops. So if you are Minnesota Rocker, thankfully no one dies off the rotation. You don't swan out at old. You find the initial couple of kills off the rip. Able to hold down that pressure coming in from the front. Fantastic hold from top mid, and Ezreal all of a sudden finds himself on 3. He single-handedly just shut down Secret Hallway.
And this has been great. I mean, this luxury of not just Ezreal finding 2, but where he finds it is that Nero can play so far forward towards well. He actually gets a couple of FaZe members to spawn front Spiral. It's going to take them forever to even see this hard point. So a perfect P2 for Atlanta, maybe surpassed by the perfection we're currently seeing from Minnesota. But FaZe from the back, little staggered spawn situation. They could naturally pinch this apart, and they've got some high ground control, and that'll be 4 down Atlanta with a break for the scrap.
And it was a BZ who was the game breaker. He works his way through top plat. I'm pretty sure it was Gio coming up behind him, but he's able to secure that kill. And as soon as he finds that kill, Simp spawns right in the back. So they're blessed with a free opportunity at a pinch to walk away with that remaining time. Now early off the rotation over towards New, though. Tends to be a money hill here at P4. Minnesota Rocker fully set up. You're holding down top hallway if you are narrow. But they have every single angle cut off currently.
Yeah, Atlantis is waiting to try to get this little bit of a pitch play out of Draza on De Niro front open hall. That's not going to work out. That's real clean on his transition.
Oh, no.
Does force a team kill, but still able to turn that into elimination on Simp, leaving it just down to a kill 1v1. I don't know how many times we see it, Jay. It feels like almost every hard point, but Cell, the last one in, good for a 1v2 to open up the hard point for Atlanta.
And it's everything that Atlanta FaZe just did throughout Minor 1. You were able to enable your AR players to start to get a little bit more active on the map. Everybody's saying, oh, Celium's usually #1 KD. This guy's not really finding kills, yada, yada, yada. And then he starts to use that left stick a little bit. And he's been taking over these games recently for Atlanta FaZe on a 6th streak. Hellstorm earned. Gonna find yourself up by 60 points with an easy rotation as long as you're holding this remaining junk time here to contest towards top mid.
Yeah, that's just another moment in a long string of moments from Cell so far. Like we said, last one in. but rips all of Minnesota apart. Good transition here, though, from the Rocker. They get the exits off old, plus they get a little bit of action up top in the hallways. Not enough to get them into the hill for now, but they do control the correct side of the minimap over on the right side towards P2. Simp on 4 in a row, working on it, and for a moment, had a really nice little lock on to Nero, just not enough damage to find the spin on. But Draza inside the hill will connect for the final 2 kills, and now Atlanta owning some time.
And now the spoils are sort of flipping now for Minnesota Rocker, so you want to try to back them and play a little bit safe if you are Estriel. But now you have no chance to do so because you know that your teammates are spawning over towards Rock. You don't want to give up this time to Atlanta FaZe. So let's fight through the middle of the map and try to chain a couple kills and then eventually push on out. Sip with some bad timing, walks right into the preem of Nero, and that's such a big 2-piece off the rotation of New. Minnesota only down by 40 points, but they can make up for it here at P2.
And just look at the narratives that we can start to build off the scoreboard right now. We've seen a couple of heroic moments from both Estriel and Nero. The SMGs really getting it done, but a combined 8 and 22 for the ARs of Paul and Geo. That is not going to be good enough. Not in the face of Draza and Cell, locking down opening kills and allowing these SMGs, the Tiny Terrors, to get involved in close quarters. Here's an opportunity though. Geo, Estriel, able to open the front door. Nero slides forward for the first, and that'll be a full wipe as Minnesota break from driveway.
And now 35 seconds, still a lot of time here at this P2 HP. Atlanta FaZe look like they're going to rally the troops all through the front door to try to execute a very difficult break. One player set committing on the pinch through mid-map. He gets taken care of. Celium does open up with that first kill off of the heady. But it's going to be a trade. Minnesota with more bodies. They're going to be able to soak up this remaining time.
Yeah, really good exchange of P2s between both these 2 squads, but Rocker now the one tested on rotation as we jump into a Minnesota listen in.
Not you. Yeah, he's
I think he's on top open. One more top open for sure.
I knew that, I see.
That kid's on that. That kid's on that.
He might spawn back behind us.
That one's
Holding me. Okay, draw this fire after that. There's still secret. Secret read. Watch out, be the outer. Need a bullet.
You're good on my platter already.
Anytime. I'm gonna need out. I'm trying to fit you.
It's
in. Not even him. He's in.
I'm only top plat.
He's right side. Watch the back. I'm bitching you.
I don't see him.
You one shot drop. In secret. You time and probably outer.
Secret so weak. Not the plat. One shot. Nice. Front 10 of time. I think it's top secret.
Front 10. Yep. Secret. In.
Outer dead.
You're missing draws it. I saw my clothes. I'm setting.
In my 10,
A little cobble.
I'm one shot now. I don't see him.
Must see Draza.
Enter. On the cobble weak.
I'm gonna one.
He's still on the one.
One shot zip.
I'm on.
I'm wanting level. I'm wanting that quick.
I'll play new.
I'll walk they go here open. I got your level side though.
I have open.
Yep.
You didn't do one shot drive. We drive our side.
Rocker hanging in, but FaZe bouncing back on rotation as we hop immediately over to Atlanta to see how they're calming this hill.
That's him.
Somebody their side. There's Paul.
Hop open, shit on! Nice, how you fucking
Keep blocking.
I'm blocking, you're good. Another one, I'm trying front.
Yo, open. Got through our set time.
Another one top over, getting turned up.
I spawned it. Stay close.
Okay, I'll see.
Hey, let's stay close. We're good. Flying well.
I'm paying
I ain't Charlie's time in a second.
Top open, two. Take it up.
We're coming.
Give a.
I'll see him open MC. Drop that mid.
Yeah, I spawned it.
Another one open. I don't see him.
Nice.
Challenge.
I'm trying.
I'm trying to hold, okay?
I'm with you.
Hey,
Also,
wait for one.
Yeah.
Give me the fight.
I'll see him. I'm holding top open.
Open this. One more.
Stay down.
Open weak.
Ty's guaranteeing one.
Yeah,
Geo, dead. Secret game better. On hill.
Secret, drop the mid, drop mid, okay?
I'm with you.
Secret, you want time.
I'm trying to tell you. He's already open already.
I'll see him time.
Sprung open.
Take your time.
Astrio's weak top open. He's open, Geo still.
Jay, what the heck is happening? We have a 9-point game, less than that, and this is essentially a 2v4. Paul and Geo are still only going to combine 18 kills. Estriel and Nero can just do no wrong.
Yeah, Rocker, I don't know how they're in this game, but they are keeping it very, very scrappy with 2 players sitting at almost double neg. They've signed themselves up by currently 1 point, but there's a lot of pressure to pinch out these spawns for the backside of P2. This might be the deciding factor. Who's going to walk with the way with the majority of these gunfights? Estri and Paul at least traded out effectively to put themselves in the numbers advantage. And Minnesota Rocker in the driver's seat to win the rotation anew.
It's just another one in a long string of just a stapled Minnesota hardpoint. They don't often outslay their opponents. The objective focus has continued to be strong, and the macro level knowledge, knowing that Abizi was trying to finesse around the back. He's quickly isolated. Rocker late in the map, getting the lead. Semtex right into Sip's front lap. Geo now the next one up. He's tagged out. Cell once again looking for a 1v2 to break the hard point. This time shut down by Nero with 35 to fight.
Yeah, but that small contest that comes in from Jaza does not allow now Minnesota Rocker to close out the game here. Gotta try to soak up this remaining 25, though. Do not let Atlanta FaZe get even close. Nero finds a double through mid-lobby. Polex through the front door. This is where you start to hit the go button, because look at those spawns starting to flip. They are playing ahead. Atlanta FaZe gotta chalk this one up and just go to new.
This will be the first time we've seen one of our two teams be able to try to string together 2 to 3. Draza in the way, able to deal with the Furs, trying to stop Estriel in his tracks. Not going to happen, but Atlanta will run from well, backside fences, and get Simp into 10. Abizi holding from the front, but look at the numbers for Rocker. Quickly in from the front, but Abizi, he's able to find 2 with a nade over the top. Now it's just down to can Simp do his job. He's found the first. More still on the way. They know Paul's up top, and Draza's on the hunt.
You got to keep in mind, too, that Celium still has that Hellstorm in the back pocket. But you don't want to catch bad timing, calling that in or investing it, and not allowing a trade to be there. 2v2 is the trade. Fights, but Atlanta FaZe have flipped the switch. That's 3 dead. Make it all 4. Spawns have flipped. They can win the now.
230 to 241. Minnesota trying to stretch around the back. No one has the idea that Nero has played through bottom bar. He's going to catch Celium by surprise. Now that you also have Estriel from the front, because of course he is. The SMGs from Minnesota able to jump into contest. The nades over the top are going to work out. Just Abizi standing in their way. Paul able to find the kill. Last 4 seconds. Estriel finds the kill on Draza, and Minnesota somehow, some way, getting that outslain. Steal away map number 1 from Atlanta.
Man, shout out to the SMGs in Estriel and Nero, because every single time Polex and Geo were not finding success, they were effective on the trades. That's actually insane, and this is why Minnesota are always into these series, because even with players that don't put up the best stats, just their teamwork is making the dream work. They wrote the wrongs right off the rip of the game when they initially lose a full 60 on P2. They make up for it with no one dying off the rotation towards P3, securing those back spawns. Keep it scrappy, and you got to keep in mind, Alan, if Celium doesn't pop that double over there at P4 initially, they would have been in this game a long time ago, and it probably is a better ending score there for Minnesota Rocker. But for those 2 young men to put up 30 plus each, 3K damage each, 20 plus non-traded kills each, Gio and Paul, you're just looking left around like, thank God we got you 2, because you just did it all for us to take map number 1.
Unbelievable stuff, but again, it's just another in a long line of Minnesota hardpoints where you look at the hill time and it's evenly dispersed. You heard Nameless talking about it in the dash, like the damage numbers between this Minnesota roster is also usually pretty darn close. It's just, you do get these individual moments, and they needed it badly here for sure, but still, it's just a simple fact of the matter is this Minnesota team has this hive mindset where it's just, we are going to play this out together. We're going to figure out how to best use our presence on the objective. And yeah, outside of this particular 1v2 that actually turns into more here for Cell, this was back and forth as it goes. We had a perfect P2 from Atlanta the first time, responded to by Rocker with a perfect P3. Get to the second rotation, perfect P2 for Rocker, perfect P2 for Atlanta, P3 for Atlanta. So it's just like this back and forth of this good overall objective-minded gameplay. It's just so surprising when you turn that into what we have in the scoreboard, which is 2 players essentially doing all of the heavy lifting in the killing department for Minnesota.
And now the momentum is heavily in their side, Alan. Obviously, the last time that these 2 squads matched up, That's touched on it, both hard points within 50 points, but they went all the way to the distance in a map number 5. And Rocker are probably beating themselves up about it because they feel like they should have been walked away victorious in that series. But every single time we are able to watch them, they are just showing improvements. Now we're going into a map 2 search and destroy where, without question, they are one of the most creative S&D teams that we have in the game with all the different strategies that they can throw at you. And now this is where it gets a little bit more scary because Atlanta FaZe, they do have 1 rep on red card, right? But that 1 rep, they had it all the way in week number 1 of the CDL. versus Toronto. They ended up falling short 6-3. They haven't played it since. On the opposite side for Minnesota, they have yet to play it. But for them to throw this map into the map pool, into this series, best believe their strategies are going to be on point.
Jay, I don't know if you noticed that at the end of our replay package, we got the perspective of Celium, which we didn't have in the real game time moment. He accidentally threw out an RCXD when he was trying to call out the Hellstorm. Oh no. So he calls it an RC, has to blow up because you can't use it, and then the Hellstorm comes down, but it's not there in time to clear off the hard point. I don't know if we can get a look at that again. It kind of snuck into the replay package, but that's an important moment because that Hellstorm, with its ability to split off the early missiles, very well may have landed to help out aBeZy because Celium was the next one off spawn. He tries to call on the streak. That doesn't come down. Yeah, okay, we're gonna get another look at it. So it kind of just like snuck in the replay package, but he accidentally calls in the RC when it's 242 to 239. And look at the hard point. That's all 3 Minnesota players on the hill. If that Hellstorm comes in maybe a touch earlier, maybe it forces them into 10, which is closer to your spawn. Maybe you get a couple of kills, but I don't know.
I don't think that Hellstorm was working there at the very end. You only need about 7 seconds. It's about 5 seconds before the missile couldn't even come out of the air and start shooting the other little missiles coming through. I think that if I was selling him there, I would have used that Hellstorm at the ending of that P4 because that's basically your only opportunity. P1s keep it scrappy. You can dodge those with ease. You don't really invest it there at P2, but to wait all the way to the very end of the game, in that moment right there, I just don't think it was enough time for him to actually get anything done with that Hellstorm. So now we go into this search and destroy, Alan. So go into this S&D where obviously the records for both teams, it's about 50-50 chance that FaZe are currently going to win a search and destroy at 5-5 total. But on the opposite side for Minnesota Rocker, even though they have an 8-6 overall record with a 1-loss streak, S&D has been what has gotten through them a lot of these series. It's just none of them have been on red cards. So I'm super excited to see what they're going to show us here.
The other side of things here for this Atlanta team, and I know that Maven and Nameless are both talking about this, like it's so rare to find an Atlanta team that has struggled in not just control, but especially the search and destroy. You got to keep in mind that they have won, what, 5 of their last 6 in search and destroy. So they have looked really good in terms of improving since the first 2 weeks where they hadn't won a single search. So now it just comes down to the question of had they done their homework when it comes to red card, because like you said, we have not seen this much, not just for Atlanta, but we've seen none of it for Minnesota, and first blood initially on Adraza for the Rocker.
Yeah, I love that play call right there from Rocker to set the tone early on and just be aggressive over towards head side, find that early first blood, and basically force the hand of Atlanta FaZe to think about that rotation over towards New. But seemingly on your mini-map, the mind games are potentially going to come in because the bomb carrier is still going to roam his way over towards the safe site. You're going to have aBeZy potentially trying to work this deep pinch by himself.
Can you catch any information from this stage side of the map is the question here for Simp. Paul going to push him off just a touch from top window. Nades tossed as respectfully as they possibly could be up towards glass. Doesn't really do too much to influence the position, but Celium has gotten a chance to move forward, and he finds Nero. We go 3v3.
And now you're just waiting for the opportunity if you are aBeZy to set up on this pinch, but information already gained. Trying to keep him at bay, but he's in towards the side, so now the rotation from the bomb. Gonna be able to get down that B for free as Semtex trying to keep him off of it, but it's gonna be a 3v3 retake.
Asriel pushing into this. He's got health nearby. Paul, Geo combined for the 2 eliminations that they need. Sim trying to get away. 14 HP.
What?
Shots on
What?
Paul are decent. Now he's off the regen. 1v1 with Geo. Oh my goodness. Simp able to win essentially just an in-your-face 1v2 to save the round for Atlanta.
Oh man, you can always count on Chris Laird to look like he's hacking in some of these S&D rounds. It's the wall bang for the first, but then the snap onto Geo for the second. What was the first blood in favor of Rocket when you got down to the final 30 seconds? Just that opening that Celium was able to locate right through top mid, finds that freebie onto Nero, and then at the same time aBeZy just taking space away and towards that B site, opens it up. And then Simp just does Simp things. Atlanta take first round.
Huge momentum shift early after what looked to be a really solid setup for Rocker. A really good challenge on the bomb being planted as well, but it comes up short. But now Nades exchange over the top of hedges. We also have the vast majority of our players in the lobby right here in front, and Nero shut down initially, but the follow-up is good for Rocker. Cell able to keep this thing tight though as he finds a follow-up pick on the Paul.
A deep flank though, being set up from aBeZy. It's basically going to trap them over towards this A site. So the bomb seemingly is going to go down now. Both players camping towards the top 3 stories. Celium dropped down through the ladder. A 2v2 on a retake.
And it might just come down to 2 individual 1v1s if the timing comes through. Geo just picking his time perfectly. Clean shots towards the BZ. Cell looking to follow up to see if he can catch a trade late. Oh, but this is going to feel very panicky as there's been a lot of time that slipped. Opening shots not going to land. Geo just hits the deck. Knows he's got the clock as his best ally right now. Estriel also playing up top. Shoulders thrown. Estriel follows up for the free kill. Minnesota respond.
Yeah, it's all you got to do. Shoulder, shoulder, shoulder in the 2v1. Wait for your teammates to get into the play and then shoot them in the back for free. That round all starts off with an all-out push through the hedges area. Effective on the trade. You turn it into a 2v2, but then right there, Atlanta FaZe just basically gave up all map control. They gave it the bomb for free. No one had any information on what the setup was looking like. So once that bomb gets planted, BZ peeking from top window, Geo lines it up perfectly to turn it into a 2v1 and then just way too much ground to try to cover. If you are Celium with not that much time to clutch up in, Minnesota tie the game.
FaZe looking to pull something very similar as their opening offensive look here with just a mid route being hit by Cell. He'll watch to see if anyone crosses. Everyone else is playing very aggressively this time for FaZe up and on towards this main concourse. Draza finds one. That was Geo playing just behind this setup. Simp tagged, but still alive. Nero able to at least find a trade. That's deep, actually. He is past the hedge line. BZ's still going to plant, though, and, well, the problem is Atlanta just is not able to get themselves set up, so now you've got a weird 2v3 post plant.
Oh, and now you can isolate the bomb planter in the BZ because you know that Celium was back mid. Instantly going to stick that defuse is narrow, and Celium is going to get taken down after Estriel was able to find 3 on the round. Insane plays right there for Minnesota Rocker, even in the man disadvantage. That first blood comes in very, very quickly for Atlanta FaZe. They have all the map over towards hedge side, but just Nero sets up the pinch. He finds one before falling, and then Estriel does everything else. Love the heads-up decision-making right there from Minnesota Rocker, because at the same time, before even Nero drops, he throws a shoulder to the middle of the map to keep Celium in that position. They isolate the player that was trying to climb towards top 3. They isolate the player that plants the bomb. And then you don't even waste any time trying to look at where the last guy is. Someone stick the defuse. We got over you. Minnesota, 2 rounds in a row.
Clean stuff, quick. Estriel also now up to 5 in a row, so RCXD could be in play, and it is. It's actually out of Atlanta's hands, maybe by the chance. Things have come to a bit of a pause. You do hear one wiggling around. Nero pushing forward still beyond this. Little solo mission for him with his teammates behind. He's going to be able to at least find that the only defender for FaZe is deep on this site. The problem is Celium has found Paul at mid-map, and now Minnesota has to be careful from being surrounded. And that's already coming to fruition as Nero will drop immediately, leaving just Estriel and Geo into a tough 2v4.
And Estriel's just going to send it for a gunfight. Has to try to make a play there. Simp gets the better of him, so now Geo left in the 1v4 scenario. Positioning known. Every player from Atlanta FaZe is surrounding you. Clean round right there from Atlanta to invest the RC car, realize where the pressure was coming in, and then the beautiful setup that they had around that mid-map between Draza and Celium. Crack the doors open, have a different angle to attack over towards Hedge's side, and he was able to find the initial 2 kills, and that basically calls the round there. So Atlanta FaZe tie the game.
Both teams trying to get a little aggressive on offense right through that main concourse, just not quite finding the freedom to do so. We'll see if that starts to kind of influence how much focus the ARs put at mid-map, especially from the offensive side in particular. See what Atlanta decides to do. Cell right back up towards the staircase. He's going to play mid-map. But passively, he's just going to watch the door cross here. So Draws is going to give himself a trophy on the hedges. Simp and Abizi will play just below this setup, and you do hear the RC looks like it may be out for Minnesota this round. Or at least it was.
It already gets taken care of. Minnesota Rocker have a couple more bodies this time around to defend this A site. Atlanta FaZe are seemingly going to commit on this. Simp finds the first blood. You still know that there's another player located around this bomb. Wow. Abizi strikes for the second. Immediately 4v2, and Paul's already got 10 HP.
Yeah, that's an offensive setup that is just an immediate counter to what we've seen from Minnesota in their prior 2 defenses. Nero keeps it interesting, but not enough to make any drama occur. And yeah, that's legitimately, like, if Celza could just watch the front doors, don't give yourself any sort of a contact over through mid-map until someone tries to charge behind that SMG play. Draws is playing safe with the trophy to watch that top window, so it's just down to Simp and Beezy double challenging the back sidewalk, and they catch out Minnesota's setup pretty much perfectly. That was a great response.
Yeah, I think if you're Minnesota Rocky, you got to go back to what you did on defense round number 1. Just not giving up hedge control, because that's so far 3 attacking rounds from Atlanta FaZe where they find that opening kill from that angle, because it's very difficult to watch that side close the doors on the top side of hedges. But when you send 3 players, it instantly shuts them down and force them to rotate to the complete opposite side.
Here we go.
Now Minnesota Rock on their attack. Gonna show a little bit of presence over towards B, but fighting for this mid-map.
Yeah, that's enough, though, to pull Celium back and over towards B. At the same breath, look at how far forward Simpedraza has started to go. So they're offering to keep the middle of the map open and playing these 2v2s inside of either side. Cell, good opener. BZ following up. Oh, can't quite get the best of Nero. And that means Cell has to get out of here, wait for help.
Hey, they're trying to isolate him, but thankfully his teammates are now in the mix. 3v3 bomb site control goes in favor of Minnesota, but they don't want to commit on this bomb plank. Don't know how many stuns or nades are going to be on the opposing side, but just look at the pinch being developed from Simp. He's waiting for the go.
Yeah, it looks like Rocker, they're saying we need Nero to help get some setup here at B to get the plant down. And in that moment, he starts to kind of come closer towards the bleachers. He does find Simp on the long pinch. So now it's just down to what can Cell and Draza do from these crossing angles in front of the box. Astriel for the plant. Geo throwing shoulders on one side, tagged by Draza. Cell trying to find an angle, can't quite connect. Now you got to find a way to push on it if you're FaZe. Geo's off the regen. Cell and Draza gonna work this together from the left perspective doorway. Astriel there to meet them, and Astriel will find both. Perfect post plant.
And every single time you think Minnesota are trapped, it's Astriel who gets him out of it. He reads the flank coming in from Sim, finds that kill, puts his team in a man advantage, and then strikes at the right time to close out the round again with 3. He's just been a completely different player after the first 2 weeks of Minnesota Rocker. He was very inconsistent, but now all of a sudden he's probably the best player on the roster. He's just been unbelievable these last couple of weeks.
It's just like, we saw moments last year where Astriel, when he gets unlocked, what he can do. And this roster definitely, I think, for all 4 players, definitely kind of came with a level of like, what are we going to get? Like, who's going to IGL this team? Is there going to be an individual pop-off? And it's just this collective effort that has shown the trust can come through, but this time, Astriel trying to play over towards the B side of the map will be overwhelmed by all 4 FaZe members, but Nero's gotten to read that this is all 4. He's already cut through mid-map. Paul's going to hit through Ticket. They can try to contest this quickly for a 3v4.
Yeah, if you're Atlanta, you just want to get this bomb down instantly, so you can have every single one of your players up with their gun ready. Celium potentially going to get isolated. Abizi trying to assist him. Abizi actually is going to fall. And Celium, I don't know how much HP he has left, but Draza falls as well. Yeah. 2v2.
That's not bad for Rocker to level this thing up once again. Simp, AR in hand, just watching this cross. And she's got both weapons, but Nero surprises him from the flank. Now it's just down to Cell for the 1v1 now. Just over the top of the bomb site. Opening shots are good, and Cell converts on the 1v2 for Atlanta.
That's crazy because Cell looked to be dead to rights when those gunfights started to go down. Abizi keeps him alive. He's able to finesse, get out with his life. And then in the 1v2, just predicts perfectly the angle that Nero was going to try to attack from. Mr. MacArthur, ice in his veins, ties the game.
It's been so clutch for this Atlanta team so many different times. Doesn't matter the mode either. We've seen it in control. We saw it obviously just recently in the hard point. And now add a 1v2 to the docket, giving Atlanta a narrow edge 4v3. But Rocker are fighting back nicely. 4-man hit here for Minnesota. Pretty much all of it on the low ground. They're going to keep Geo in a position to at least throw shoulders to allow Nero to push very aggressively bottom window. And Atlanta's not going to know this. They're going to instead likely just try to opt to play for some sort of a far contest of the A site, delay time, and let Abizi and Simp get aggressive on the backside of the map. But they have not been able to find Geo. Initial trade comes through, bomb being planted, but Celium on 4 in a row turns the numbers into a 1v3 now for Astriel.
Now Astriel, they know that you are the bomb planner. Stun does not connect. With 3 players from Atlanta FaZe, knowing your positioning, everyone's going to go for the chow. You find the first onto Draza. Shot's good enough, but not able to take down Celium. As again, Mr. Celium secures around 4 Atlanta FaZe. It was a 2v4 on the complete opposite side of your mini-map. Simp and Abizi were working on that deep pinch, not allowing Minnesota Rocker to even think about that rotation over towards the B side. But the fact that the other 2 players from Atlanta FaZe, who were completely getting overwhelmed by the amount of players on the side of Minnesota Rocker, leads to Celium putting down shots on the Paul, finding that opening with a frag. Effective trades on the pinch. You just consistently keep the numbers on your side if you're Atlanta, and now you're at game point.
And just really good, I think, for those two AR players just to stay alive, not only where they were, but to make life a little bit more difficult for Minnesota to even get the bomb planted in the first place. You had a 2v4 in front of you. You made it feel like 2 different 1v1s, I think, for a number of that. Cell now on 5 in a row as he's to 10-4 overall. Minnesota looking to get aggressive defensively. A little page out of Atlanta's book here. You've got Estriel and Nero stacked up over towards ticket side. I believe Abizi may have heard the glass break. And yeah, it seems like he has. He's able to catch Nero. And now it's just to a 2v4. Estriel and Gio have to play retake.
And a retake at the A site. With all 4 players still up. Let me see what you got, because this was not going to be easy. Estriel positioning already known. Knows that he has to try to commit on this gunfight with only 30 seconds left. We need them all.
Now Gio's going to have to make a play around the back, and he's going to be seen here. Estriel at least able to get 1 trade, but a lot more in front of him. Shots to Abizi. Not terrible, but Abizi had an AR to play with, and that gun is just flat out better at that range. So a gritty search and destroy, but the final tally will make it feel much more convincing for Atlanta. And I really do think you go back to round, I think it was like 7, where Atlanta just had the perfect read offensively on what they wanted to do to really kind of break down this Minnesota Rocker team. And then once things start to kind of trend towards like what the normal defaults are for both these two teams, Atlanta's the first one to throw a curveball. You know, at the long flink that comes around the back a couple of different times, that works out for Atlanta to take the map 6-3.
Yeah, that's what tends to usually happen when you're talking about Atlanta FaZe and their search and destroy. Those mid-round adjustments start to come in. And it's also going to help when you're finding basically every single first blood on the map. What is that, 8-1 overall? The last time that they matched up, where Minnesota Rock were able to beat Atlanta FaZe on a search and destroy, Minnesota were able to find 8 of those 10 first bloods in that S&D. But this time Atlanta FaZe just picked them apart early into these rounds, man. And it was just the initial play calls off the rip on their offenses of consistently attacking over towards A. You're forcing Minnesota Rocket now to make an adjustment to where that one round where they make that adjustment, where you get Nero pushed out towards stage, everyone from Atlanta FaZe were already in your face at that B site. So that's that's what makes Atlanta FaZe so difficult in search and destroy, is that when they're able to get a read of what you're throwing at them, the adjustments come in and they come in very, very quickly. But 8 first bloods compared to 1 on the other side, that's heavy advantage every single time in favor of FaZe.
Absolutely the case. Well, that was a Minnesota team that was 8-6 in search and destroy. 4 of those losses came solely on protocol, but red card, which seemed to be their hard veto, doesn't look like necessarily it's going to be part of the mix when it comes to their major map set. But we had to at the desk just kind of break down the hacienda, the electricity there, plus the follow-up on the search.
FaZe should be up 2-0 if you ask some people here on the desk. We're going to be talking about these 2 games, and
dude, I got you, bro.
Celium doing work there to close out the search and destroy. Was there any fear for you that Celium wouldn't find his way in Black Ops 6?
No, like, he's been one of the most consistent players just in general. You talk about selling ability. It was weird to see him start the way he did, but nah, I was not worried.
All right,
he's back to work.
Clint also has a FaZe tattoo, so he's the biggest FaZe fan.
It's a MacArthur face. Yeah. Who doesn't want one of those?
Listen,
Let's jump in, though, to some of the highlights from map 1. And the first hard point came down on the final hill. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, an absolutely insane hard point, right? There's just so much going on. We're going to talk about a little bit here, but basically FaZe, they have control of this hill, right? It's looking like they're going to be able to rally back a bunch of points. Abizi finds 2 huge kills. Gio gets through the back. Doesn't matter. Simp finds him as well. And FaZe are just holding this down, but they make a grave mistake later on in here. They give up the back, and they end up getting flipped out. But I understand how hard it can be to hold in these situations, but that's the difference in these high-end teams. What we saw with Optic, able to hold at the end. Your FaZe, you're finding all these kills. You kill Gio. You still have positioning. You have the back. And now this is what I want you guys to look at. So you see 5. That's Draza pushing in bottom. And then you see the other player, Celium. He gives up the back to go assist the front as if they're all flying front. You already have a player pushed up fences. That's Abizi. You need to be looking at the back. Abizi pushed up fences. I don't know if it's communication. He's not relaying to his team that they're not in the front, but Celium just doesn't turn around, and Nero flanks for free, finding a kill for the break. So for Atlanta FaZe, they won the minor. There's still some things, though, at that, like in hardpoint, that they have to clean up. Right there, they should have won.
Since Clint made you pick Minnesota,
yeah.
Do you have confidence that Minnesota now can actually give you the lead back going into games 3 and 4?
Yes, I do. I mean, I know Minnesota haven't been too strong on red card hardpoint, but they do have some reps on it, and in control, they have been better. So I like Minnesota Rocker right now. I like the pick.
They got a shot, but that reminded me of FaZe on map 1, like of just like, I don't know, MW2 FaZe or something. Like they lost so many close hard points, but then what usually would bail them out in the passing, they're still a very solid search and control team. So they're able to get search win here, despite the fact they've been 50-50 on the year. You know, they talked about the casters. The first bloods were so lopsided. Celian finally reaching deep in his bag in that mode. But the control is the question mark. Like that's my biggest question mark for FaZe, like by far. Like they have never, ever in the history of this core trio stunk at control. So.
They've been bad in control. And then to that first blood thing, like Jay and Shiv pointed it out, like throughout this whole year, Atlanta FaZe have been #1 in first bloods. They've just been like bottom 4 converting those to round wins. So like, that's a good sign though. It's like we're getting the first bloods.
We're doing the hard part. Right?
Yeah, we're doing the hard part, and now let's do the easy part, use our numbers and win rounds. And that was like one of the first times where, you know, they get a blood, and if you remember, Celian backs all the way up to his base. He's like, I'm gonna find the little sneaky guy that's trying to get a kill on Nero. Kills Nero, and it's like, that's so easy. Why don't you just do that more often? And that's kind of what they were doing throughout that map, which it just works.
Atlanta FaZe finding their form after fumbling in game number 1. Minnesota Rocker are in control of the respawns, and I did not think that was going to be possible against Atlanta FaZe.
I mean, he's right.
I don't know if they're in control. But
on your lip.
What do I got? Is it because they ate a lot of pizza?
Yeah.
Let's go. Is it crayon or is it pizza, bro? It probably is. I have my hands on the thing. There's crayons goddamn everywhere. Crayons.
Just cut him off. Just cut him off. Yeah, fade him out. Cut the black. End credits. Jeez, these guys are off the rails. I don't know who approved this, but wow, Jay, we're in it.
We need to get Allie back on the desk ASAP. Clint has got my boys going rogue. Al, I hope you're doing okay. Hurry up and come back.
For real. Let's take a look though at the back half of this series, because like the desk with, you know, circus music playing behind that we're trying to lay out was the fact that, hey, this back half of this series can look pretty darn beneficial when it comes to what Minnesota has been able to provide in the past. Mostly because maps 3, 4, and 5 their record on is pretty damn good. A lot of reverse sweeps so far in the year, including a couple in the minor. But looking at the control, this will feel a little strange, I think, for both of these two teams, because Minnesota has been good in control, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it has come through Vault, whereas for Atlanta, they really have only played Vault. They've only played Protocol once, and that was a loss in round 5 to the LA Thieves. And I know that both of us are sitting here looking at that attacking win percentage. For a team that often outslays their opponents in the history of their time in the CDL, it's not very common. We see them with an 11th place ranking currently on attack for control.
Yeah, they've just been struggling, but I think even bigger is that number 8th overall on their defensive side, because Atlanta FaZe are usually one of those squads that tend to slay, probably with the best of them, never get outslayed on that defensive side. For some reason, they have yet to find consistency in this game, in that control game mode, but switching it up this time, going to Protocol, but they did have a round 5 Grueler versus LAT, back-to-back offensive L's. But Minnesota Rocker, they love themselves some Protocol too, so this is an absolute square up.
Yep, Celian, good 2 over the top of the B site. Astral still playing deep though for the defense, and as Geo clears out Simp, Minnesota can still keep their eyes forward as they come off spawn. Whereas for Atlanta, it's all about, can we keep track of where Astral is? Abizi trying for some cheeky pre-fire, does get 1 tag on Astral, that slows him down, but Cell cannot take advantage of it, and then he's out. Look at that. It's just out of there. Just so darn quick, as now Minnesota have just 60 seconds to kill off, and they have a 2-life edge.
Oh, Astral was finessing. If he would have found that kill on the Simp, would have kept them trapped in their base for even longer, but the clean forward dead now leads to Atlanta FaZe. Getting a little bit of a stack going over towards the safe point. You have players getting pushed up into the spawn and play for those spawn kills. Draza finds the first, Celian with the nade, but effective on the trades of the last 2 plays from Rocker. Second segment comes in, but you might have to get off of it.
Yeah, Simp has to bail for a moment. The double stack allowing them to get that second tick, the third on the way. And okay, good little commitment moment there for Atlanta, considering that they were down a little bit. You do find a chance to stack. You get a player forward to kind of bump, kill off some time. It gives you the extra 60 seconds. And now all of a sudden you've created a 3-life edge with Simp over the top, trying to find maybe something over towards the top turret. Doesn't really fully work out as Draza is left down towards boat. Paul will eventually confirm the trade.
Yeah, and this is great job so far from Atlanta FaZe, not all dropping at the same time, not losing the map control and allowing Minnesota Rocker to make your life a living hell off the respawn. There's now 15 and 12 in lives remaining, only 1 person on the point. But Minnesota Rocker, they're starting to get a little bit nervous now because you're not pushed up into their base. At least you do have one player in Estriel set up on the pinch. He finds the freebie, but instantly traded. Atlanta FaZe is just micromanaging the game so well right now.
I love that you use the word micromanage because it's moments where I can get on for a little bit more progress. Okay, never mind. Let me bounce off. Let me try to get involved in the mix. As a BZ almost takes down 2. Estriel keeping the defense relatively healthy around the zone, but it's still a 5-life edge. There's still tons of time on the clock here. No reason for Atlanta to push as Draza will have a trophy system ready to go, and Sip can get on for a little bit more progress for the second ticket with 3 dead. Now you can stack it, and it should be an Atlanta offensive win.
Yeah, that's going to be the round unless Gio has his Superman cape on. He gets taken down by Celium, and what a dominant round at that. I know you said, what were they, 11th overall in attacking sides in control? But to outslay them to bits, lead that column by 12 kills in round number 1, all segments complete. Atlanta FaZe have just been a different beast since the minor.
I just love the idea, and we haven't really seen this in great, I would say, like, number when it comes to the CDL on this map, but the idea of, okay, my AR's posted above me on the B zone. Let me step onto it, see if I can force someone from Minnesota to have to chow me. Maybe it allows my AR to get involved. Otherwise, if that contact doesn't come through, then I'll just take an extra step forward on the B zone, isolate that angle, and just kind of keep this little back and forth between AR and SMG presence over the top of these zones, and that little bit of micromanagement over the top of the zone itself, I think, is really what allowed Atlanta to not just get the A zone, but in particular that B point.
And now they have an answer on their defensive side as they start off with the initial 2 kills. Nero on the point with only 35 HP. He's going to be able to get taken care of, and now Sip is already in your base. Good luck.
Yeah. 4 in a row as well, mind you. Caught on Sprinter's touch as Estriel's able to find one, but Draza right into play immediately afterwards. Nero through the door. At least able to shut him down and will keep the lives relatively tight, but Atlanta still playing forward. Maybe the only exit strategy would have to come by way of Gio, who's behind this Atlanta defense at the moment.
Yeah, and Gio and Paul, I know you didn't really have a lot of success in that map number 1.
Yeah,
it was due to the SMGs. You can't have that again on a map like Protocol, especially in control, where your lives play a big part of how much success you're going to be able to find. Celium and Draza just roaming in towards 10. It's not allowing Minnesota Rock off the respawn to have a full collective push. It's now with only 40 seconds left, not a single segment earned. You have to start off by getting your 10 control.
Yeah, this is just freebie after freebie, and Draza wasn't even off the regen yet, still took care of Paul, who is still at the double negative stat line. So again, this Minnesota respawn being punished.
Jesus!
Celium takes down 2. Abizi now free to move forward, forcing the spawns to move around. Gets the comm from his teammate that Paul's in front of him at low health. Abizi now switching positions with Celium. And oh my goodness, Atlanta could do no wrong. This has been as dominant of a defense as we've ever seen. Minnesota a couple eliminations to try to get them out of spawn, maybe to try to and they will jump onto A, but Simp is off 2 in a row. He can track back with his teammates, and it should only be a matter of time before Atlanta clear the zone off.
Yep, Simp already spots him. He knows that the other 2 players he just killed are already off the respawn, so stuck between a decision. It's going to be pretty difficult to make. You jump on out, only going to have 50 HP in the dream, and eventually he does fall. So Minnesota showing a little bit of lifeline, but here comes that pinch from Celium. Takes down 1, knows that the child's going to be from the front end. Gio last player alive towards bottom steps, and he's able to catch a double to at least keep it at a pause, 2.9.
It's not over yet, man. Sim's still able to find the double. It really does feel like it puts it out of reach, especially considering the life count at the moment. But Gio may get this 3rd tick of progress here. Sell it for the last second contest. Follow up by Nero. There's the extra 60. So at least another tick of progress has been earned. Don't want to call it yet, but again, it's one of those moments that with only 2 lives remaining, this would take a miracle. I know Minnesota's done well at a 2v7 before, but that was on vault.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot more of a difficult task, especially against the players on the opposing end. It's now Estriel in a 2v9. Gonna work his way to try to take a little bit of bottom comms control. Gio on the re-pinch. Catches bad timing versus Abizi. Abizi swirling, spinning, whatever he can. As Estriel, it's only a matter of time.
Well, he's doing a nice job of finessing. Draza eventually beats him, puts him down, but the overall picture, I think, is kind of a meek silver lining is the simple fact that you do get 3 ticks of progress there, but the problem is Atlanta is still up 2-0.
Yeah, they're up 2-0. They're also up by 3 segments, even after you secured those 3 segments in that previous round. And thankfully, at least for now, you don't have to worry about any health zones or anything like that. But I think to go back to round number 1, if you are Atlanta FaZe, the perfect opportunity just presented itself on your lap. Like, they got all 4 kills at the same exact time. We're able to take all the map control away and then dominate the map control after that. So if you are Minnesota Rocker, just do what FaZe just did. Just don't die all in sync.
Sure. Very, very true. Paul still at 7 and 15. Not been particularly great in terms of what he's been able to produce elimination-wise for Minnesota here in the offense, and Cell expects to play up the zip from Nero, slashes him to pieces. Sib, look over towards Paul. He's gunned by a BZ, and now Atlanta stopping the clock early, already on the A zone with sidewalk control starting to develop.
Yep, and look at where those spawns are coming in from Minnesota Rocker. All over towards the tower side. Thankfully, there's only 1 player from Atlanta FaZe on that A point, so it gives them opportunities to try to still contest it, but as soon as you're coming off the respawn, you got to worry about these players in your face.
Yeah.
And BZ, no chance on slowing down, already on 4 in a row.
Jay, I was going to say, it took Minnesota, until this moment, it took Geo a chance to get 3 before there was a single kill tallied for the Rocker. So, seconds of progress looking likely as Sib comes up through the middle of the map for a double. Estriel sliding into contest. Should be overwhelmed here and will be. Cell, 1 more to win, but no, Paul able to find himself now 3 in a row, trying to get involved here for Minnesota, and that will stop progress on A and keep the clock moving.
Yeah, second segment does get locked, though. So now if you are Atlanta FaZe, who can potentially find the opening in Simp and a BZ and Draza, everybody combines for a kill. Last player alive is going to be Geo. He's at least able to cap a double, potentially a triple, but the team shot's too good from Atlanta FaZe, as they are maintaining a little bit of that mid-map control. But Minnesota are not giving it up for free.
Third tick on the way. Geo looking for the cross while also contesting. It's Cell in his way, deals with it nicely. Trophy system for Atlanta likely to expire here in a moment, but it does allow a chance for Sip to dive on in, and he turns that into a 1v2 moment. BZ on the other side of the map wins his double, so an extra 60 is going to be earned. 6 life edge for Atlanta, and they can keep the clock paused with pressure on the B zone.
Yeah, because now Minnesota Rocker have to run all the way across the map due to the positioning of a BZ. You're going to run right into the frame of Sim. First segment already done. Double stack is going to be on the point. A BZ secures that kill over towards tower. A BZ secures a kill towards top mid. And yeah, that's the map, Alan. It's over with.
Sure feels that way. 1 more chance. No, Cell and Sim deal with the last defensive play, and that is way better for Atlanta when it comes to especially the offensive side, but just control in general. That's more like it, I think. If you're a FaZe fan, you love to see it. And it really was straight perfection across both offenses, and especially that round 2 defense. I mean, yeah, you do allow an opportunity for a solo player to get that last tick and the third over towards A, but so what? You were dominating the kill feed from start to finish your phase.
Yeah, that's all it comes down to, is Atlanta FaZe and their slaying. That has been their struggle so far this year in control. They were not positive on both the attacking side and defensive side for Vault. They switch it up. They throw a little bit of protocol in the mix, and they make this one look very, very easy. Everyone's hitting positive. Everyone over 2K damage. That was just a very easy map, and it's easier whenever you're finding all the kills the way that you were, man, because Minnesota Rocker, they gave themselves chances. Like in the beginning of that defensive round, it came out to about, what, 20, 30 seconds, and Atlanta FaZe found all 4 kills at the right time for them to work their way on out. It's just difficult when you're not finding your kills, especially in control. Minnesota Rocker, not a single player go positive, and that is going to be the ending game result.
Typically is the case, but to see Atlanta get a 3-0 by way of 2 offensive rounds is inspiring stuff, especially considering the performance they were able to put together at Minor 1, which, again, just kind of the opponents that they faced, not easy whatsoever. They had to play this very gritty Minnesota team. Of course, the grand finals versus Carolina felt very comfortable. But I would say, just kind of looking back on that, like the win versus Thieves is what I think kind of defines this squad. I mean, you dominate them essentially in both the hard points. You dominate them in the search and destroy. It's just the control that slipped you. And this Atlanta FaZe team is looking very complete right now. I know that, again, you know, the Des was talking about they're only 5-5 in search, but in their last 7 efforts now, they've won 6 of them. So it definitely feels like things are really trending the right direction since the holiday break for FaZe.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing, because I'm pretty sure the entire league, every single fan that we have in the CDL, they were happy as hell. They were seeing potentially Atlanta FaZe on the downwards trend. But all this team needed was 2 weeks. That's it. All they needed was 2 weeks to show how dominant they were again. They showed it at Minor 1. And so far, they're showing it in this series what they are fully capable of when they are clicking on all cylinders. Now they're up 2-1 into the series. They're going into a red card hard point. And actually, the final 2 maps is a rematch. If we do manage to go all the way to this map number 5, they squared up on red card before. It was Atlanta FaZe walking away with 250 to 214. A very, very close game. But I think if you're Minnesota Rocker, you're going to be able to fix those little mistakes that you made last time. And what Atlanta FaZe did so well was find a lot of time off of P1 and P2 by dominating Hedge. If you're Minnesota Rocker, you can't allow that to happen.
And we kind of saw the same thing, again, obviously a different muse when it comes down to playing Search and Destroy, but we did see a lot more value for Atlanta being played over that middle concourse, whether that be on the inside just out of ticket or, like you mentioned, over the top of Hedges. So that definitely seems like a priority point of the map for Atlanta, no matter what the mode happens to be. And like you mentioned, that was very much so the case when they had played last time. It did feel like Selim and Draza were getting all the information, if not the kills first. It allowed Simp and Abizi to just run around, do what they do best, which is what we've already seen pretty much throughout this map, or this match rather, to this point. So again, it does feel like everything starts to trend since the holiday break towards what Atlanta could do. Definitely inspiring, I think, after the long stretch of round 5s in Control, to go to a map you haven't played a lot of, get a 3-0, 2 of them coming off of offensive wins for Atlanta as well. If you really want to try to play that fiddle. But for this Minnesota team, they find ways to just hang in these series where it feels like maybe one map is just a blowout. It's just like, whoa, what is this team? And then they show you the next map is like, oh, okay, it's this guy. So these guys are objectively focused. We saw that on the Hacienda. Can they do it again here? That's the big question. Need to have all 4 members show up. They'll tell you that first and foremost.
Yeah, you're going to definitely need all 4 members to show up here, especially your AR players who so far in both the respawns have not had a good time. But on a map like Red Card, where all those gunfights are going to be long distance, you need their impact to be felt. So backs against the wall, Minnesota Rocker can never count these guys out. Always manage to keep themselves into the game. But it's just not allowing Atlanta FaZe to set you up the way that they did last time around. Dominate over towards P1, soak up about 40 seconds there. Trap you towards the backside of P2. You cannot have that if you're Rocker to try to force game 5 here.
Yep. Okay, that's the layout. Let's see exactly how this starts to unfold. Atlanta already trying to play largely just in through tickets, selling good first blood contact. Again, that's Nero just caught in the middle of the map. Simp winning over towards Hedges again. Keeps Estriel over towards stage side, and Atlanta kind of exactly as you were framing up, Jay, what they did last time, they're doing again. Hedge control, outer control, ticket control. How about some hard point time to go with that?
Yeah, just force a Minnesota Rocker to consistently just try to work their way through ticket. It's just not going to be easy. So far, been 15 uncontested seconds here at P1. You first got to get past Simp. Pollux does a great job of that. And now you can start off these trade fights because Estriel has developed on this pinch for a clean forward dead. And now already the adjustments come in. You flip the spawns out towards Atlanta FaZe on the back end. But now I don't know if you're going to be able to read this pinch on the repinch coming in.
Well, BZ takes care of one, heads up to the high ground. Simp playing just below him. Not able to expect that Gio was right in position to deal with that. BZ's long-range shots now alerts Minnesota of his presence as the hard point goes open. And it'll be Gio who tries to get some early time here. Spawn control, I was going to say for the rotation, looked good for Minnesota, but the follow-up kills from Atlanta, better. So now Paul and Nero will spawn behind this hill. Astro just trying to play his life to avoid the spawn trap, and at least he's done okay, but Atlanta are back into the hard point with still 33 seconds to fight for.
Yeah, but they said, Astro, you can take your time over there towards stage. Eventually, we're going to get you. We know where the rest of your teammates are spawning, so... Now with 25 seconds still here at P2. Not the ideal situation you want to be in if you're Rocker. Thankfully, you're already in a position to contest it. You're already finding yourself in a numbers advantage potentially off this rotation. You can walk away with this final 15. Just have to not allow these kills to go in favor of Atlanta FaZe.
Yeah. And you cannot allow this game to get out of hand early, especially with the rotation starting to build the way that it is. FaZe even going to get the last couple of seconds of the scrap, rotating already over towards Garage. Draza still making life miserable for Rocker off spawn. And the block that comes through already from Simp is everything. He just needs to finesse, keep his life, because Rocker are largely in mass trying to move across the middle of the map, but they cannot find Simp. Astriel's still pinned in the back, but finally the kills start to develop and Rocker find every single one.
That's fantastic plays. I thought if you were Atlanta FaZe, when you spawn out towards the hedge side, you know that at least one player is still going to spawn behind you. If you isolate that one guy, or at least push out towards the front, you could potentially trap them in towards the back, but we're stuck in that decision, and Minnesota Rocker are able to lead to the break, but not for very long, because now Nero, the only player pushed up on the point, he gets taken care of. Back spawns in favor of Rocker, but this is not the situation you want to be in with only 20 seconds still here.
Pinch from Geo, though, does allow him to get 2. Paul up the stairs, a bit of a delayed hit. That will work out. Turn over towards Cell, but Nero will finish where Paul left off. So scrap time will be earned by Minnesota, keeping it relatively tight. About a 10-point game here. Going over towards bleachers, but again, Atlanta in a really good spot to watch both choke points and put themselves in a spot here to just get into stage and just hold it. So really good stuff so far from Atlanta on rotation.
Yeah, but this is where Atlanta FaZe, last time they played, tend to struggle a little bit. They would win rotations. They would fully set up, but they would get instantly broken. But already the adjustments coming in. You had Draza dominating toward top mid. BZ winning that one-on-one gunfight around the point. And so far been 25 uncontested seconds here at P4. Trades are abound. Simp lining up. Give me 1, give me 2. All 4 dead. Minnesota Rocker probably are now going to be forced to hit that rotation.
Yeah, you don't want to do that with 23 seconds still remaining, but you have to deal with this mid-map play. Simp good for 1. Nero the trade. He's going to make his move towards bleachers. But Abizi will be allowed to stay inside the hard point and build this lead to some massive deficits here, as Atlanta will get over the 100-point threshold and still have a chance to fight this from window side. And they are winning the battles. Estriel tagged up, trying to keep his life. Semtex on the window frame. It's Paul to at least get the trade and keep the hard point contested, but Atlanta are quick off spawn, and they already get the read that there's staggered spawns for Minnesota here.
Yeah, when you rotate early, you got to find a couple kills. Atlanta FaZe should bombard their way through mid-ticket and are able to disrupt the setup right there from Rocker. As now they're in control of P5. They're spawning all of Minnesota towards the lower end of Eskies. And you just have to find at least 2 wave of kills before you even think about this objective.
Another map where you're starting to see a couple of members on Minnesota just not quite hanging with what Atlanta's throwing at them. 6-12 for Estriel here. 7-15 for Paul, who's not had a particularly great series in Cell and Draza. Little 2v4 moment for them. Abizi getting involved. He'll finish things off. And he's got the read that Minnesota are spawning pretty darn close. Naden stunned his own feet. Chance to possibly pinch this up, but Estriel collects the double, and with that, also the scrap time.
That's insane, because Minnesota Rocket, they rotated with about 25 seconds over to that hard point. They just didn't get any kills, but with all that time that they thought that they were going to get, they only walk away with 10 seconds. Now Atlanta FaZe in the driver's seat, contesting early on over towards Hedge, and Draza with the double. Secures this side of the map. Now you just continuously soak up that hill.
19 and 10 for Draza. No need to put himself into the hard point. He's finding every single kill. Tagged up, trying to finesse, little wiggle, little wag, knife out, almost gets within arm's reach of Estriel, but not quite. Cell following up. Him and Simp with ARs will get the job done. And it will be still more than double the points in favor of Atlanta. Simp trying to add a little bit of extra insult to injury by diving into the hard point, but Minnesota will punish, and they'll find some time here on 1.
And they need this time here at 1. And they need to try to chain it over towards P2 as well, because it's still a 60-point difference. But Draza has become activated. Another double in the feet to hold down this Hedge positioning. Even though you do not want these spawns that you currently have on the backside of P2. Just consistently holding this angle. Finding your kills eventually will flip them out. It will be Atlanta FaZe to start off this hill new.
Yeah, Draza's seen everything. Celium trying to follow up on that information that was tallied. But Abizi will collect onto Geo, which means now Cell has to worry about this Hedge play. Nero catches him by surprise. Spawn in the back for Geo. May be able to pinch out Simp in the hard point. Not needed at the moment. And with 43 seconds, Atlanta's going to make the macro move. Try to play for the spawns first, then approach the hill.
That's exactly how you do it, especially when you have a lead the way that you do. Just none of the kills go your way. Thankfully, Draza was at least able to find one. Allows one of his teammates to spawn over towards stage. You're set up with a proper pinch. Him and Celium are holding it down with the ARs. They find the initiative. And now Simp and Abizi just trying to strike for these last couple players over towards stage before they hop into the hard point.
Yep.
But again, an ideal situation to be in if you FaZe.
Absolutely the case. Need to find a break out of this spawn situation if you're Minnesota. A couple of kills will allow them to do that by actually moving through the old time, which they need, by the way. It's another one of those maps that you look back at and say at different moments in time, it's 80, 90-point gap in favor of Atlanta. But this is usually on this map where Minnesota starts to wake up. When they know they have to make good plays, they often do and turn this into a tight one. See if they can make another comeback effort happen here.
Yeah, they have a pinch being developed. Geo was able to spawn behind this new HP. You can already tell Atlanta FaZe have sort of gotten a read on it. Abizi gonna send it out over towards Hedge. Give me 1, give me 2. We secure the front side. We have Minnesota trapped in towards the back side. You gotta get out.
Yep. And Abizi is just literally holding your spawn doors right now. Simp watching over through stair side. Bested by Nero. Doesn't have a chance to turn that into a double as of yet. Baton passes, Gio steps into the hard point, and he's able to take down a couple. So, all right, here we go again. Minnesota gonna get the scrap time. Rotation over to 4 on the way. Sip trying to find an exit from top Eskies, but instead takes down Estriel, and that might be enough to force Minnesota to just have to hit this from outside stage.
Oh, they do catch the player who was working in towards the hard point, though. So Atlanta FaZe are not going to have anybody soaking up that hill time. You just got players playing for the cutoff kills. Thankfully, Sim is able to catch that double. Now you set up a BZ on the pinch. Give me 1, cannot find 2. And Minnesota have worked their way on in.
Yep. Being able to take down both Simp and Abizi simultaneously off that pinch is super important for Rocker. Trying to force again to Simp, this time shut down by Paul. But over the top, now Draza in a bit of a commanding spot over the top stage. Right back into the hard point, able to tack down onto Nero. Trades come through, hard point goes neutral. 128, 187. Sell the next one in line. Paul able to collect onto 2. And now it's just down to Kid Rocker find a way to collect this back 20.
Yeah, they need it. They need it. They cannot think about that rotation to new because we know how it turned out for them last go around. So they commit every single player to fight for that final 20. And it's looking like it's going to go their way, and the rotation at that. Going to be down by 50 points. You win the rotation over towards new, but last time they got picked off early before this hard point pop. You need these fights.
Really good read here, though, for Rocker on what Atlanta's trying to do on rotation, at least from where they're trying to approach this from. 2 for 2, the initial exchange. Paul, the backman, able to find Draza. Rocker trying to get back into the hill, but Atlanta all over it through the middle of the map again. Celium, a double for him. Nero tagged down to just a single bullet worth of health. He'll fall, and Atlanta will get past 200 points.
And now they have them trapped towards the backside of Eskies. Celium 1-4 in a row. Throw a stun, throw a nade, and just keep them away as long as you possibly can. You have a BZ watching the pinch through mid-ticket. And this is the ideal setup you want to be in for this P5 HP. Minnesota Rocket just need a break, and they need it quick.
So much time going to Atlanta here on this final hard point. Gio eventually able to clear it, but Abizi's off the reload. He's back into the mix. Oh my goodness,
man.
The shots from Abizi, 4 in a row. Paul able to collect onto a trade, but who cares at this point? Atlanta is well and truly in control of this map, only needing another 15 points.
Oh my God, Andraza again, continuously finding double kill after double kill, 34 and 19. Didn't really have the best map number 1, but he said, don't worry guys, I got you at map number 4. As Atlanta FaZe only need 15 seconds to close out this game. On board again here with Draza, and what do you know, another double.
And it's all happening on these mid battles, whether it be here at the main concourse or outside at Hedges. He's just finding these power positions and not allowing anyone from Rocker to gun him. Now on for another streak, 4 in a row. Cut just a touch short of kill number 40. Will his teammates allow him a chance to get the final 2 for it? Probably not. Looks like it's just gonna be Atlanta FaZe sitting into the hard point. Draza on the cross shut down from getting kill number 40, but maybe a chance for it as Minnesota will wipe and get into at least extend the map a little while longer.
Yeah, Draza definitely should be able to line up 1 more kill for the 40 bomb and close out the series here. Atlanta FaZe only need 2 more points.
There it is.
Draza finds his 40th kill, and it's seeming that Atlanta FaZe can no longer win here at P1, but they're finding every single kill in the feed, and that is going to be it.
Wow. Jay, this Atlanta team looks absolutely for real in every mode right now. Yeah, the Hacienda has a couple of moments where Minnesota put together what it was essentially, I think we're all going to label it as kind of a 2v4 type moment. But the fact of the matter is that is a very convincing search by the score. The 3-0 protocol control with 2 offensive wins, and then a map 4, which at no point really was it ever close. Just all aspects of the hard point, rotation, holds, breaks, all looking good for FaZe right now.
Yeah, I think Minnesota Rocker only won 1 rotation that entire map, and that was towards P5. And even when they thought that they were going to win the rotation, they lost the initial gunfights and were instantly broken into. Just the guns did not look the same as they usually do for Minnesota Rocker. Paul X just did not have the series that I expect of him. He usually is the X factor with the AR, even the SMG at hand, but basically double neg in every single respawn is not going to cut it versus one of the top teams that we have in the game. Atlanta FaZe just take care of business, dominating the first blood column in the search to destroy, show improvements in the control with the slaying. And then when you get to the red card, I know last time it was 250 to 214. But when you win every single rotation, that scoreline is only going to look a lot better.
Yeah, it's when you get that build from 112 to 50, again, 70 plus point gap. It's just, there's never a lifeline for Minnesota to pull it back. So the opening Hacienda, thrilling to say the least. couple of follies in there, here and there, but largely speaking,